Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru.
And let me tell you, everybody is a sadhak. Everybody. No matter where you are placed. You may be a householder right in the thick of the world. Or you may be a sannyasi, given up everything. And a recluse, practicing meditation and surrender. Wherever you are, whatever you are, the aim of life is only God. You may be a householder, like I said, right in the thick of the world. So, when God is the only goal of life, whether you know it or not, you are a sadhak. Why? Because your very life is designed by God to give you a push towards God, whether you like it or not. God doesn't wait to ask. Everything that is designed specially for you is to give you a push towards God. So everyone's life is typical. It's not the same. It depends upon your temperament, your surroundings, your vasanas, your impressions that you carry. So, when the aim of life is only God and everyone is a sadhak, no matter what, we have to necessarily practice certain things in life. Otherwise, life will make you practice. Life will create situations, surroundings, so that you get purified, and in your purification you will begin to practice certain things. You cannot help it. Once Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Bhagwan, asked me to pluck a flower from a tree. A very simple act of plucking a flower from a tree. So simple. It's so easy also, you just to pluck a flower and offer it at the feet of God, especially when the flowers are available. So it happened that all the flowers, because we had already plucked the flowers, the lower branches. So I had to take a stool, a high stool, climb off that and pluck. And when I put the stool and I was about to climb up, he said, Devaki, wait. When you do this, you see to it that you don't hurt yourself, nor do you hurt the tree. He would say, sometimes just a line or two, and it wouldn't be specifically a spiritual instruction or anything. It would be a very casual reference, and you would find yourself practicing all the time. It will be a very specific instruction if you care to look into it. He said it very casually, Devaki, wait. See to it that you don't hurt yourself, nor do you hurt the tree. Simple act of plucking a flower. You know that when we have to reach out higher branches, you can bend the whole tree and then you hold on to it, and you can pluck in such a way that the leaves will get disturbed, and the trees have life. When you hurt a tree first time, the next time when you approach a tree, the tree is really frightened at your nearness. The tree has feelings. And of course, that I could be so careless that I could fall down from the stool, or I could, in trying to pluck something, and I could hurt myself also. Very simple. But then I knew that it was not just for the tree alone. In life, we hurt many people, sometimes deliberately, sometimes innocently, not knowing what we are doing. And mostly we get hurt ourselves. People may not mean to hurt us, but we make it a deliberate hurt. Do we do it? Don't we? We hurt ourselves. People may not mean it. People may have made a very simple, innocent remark about something, and then you begin to imagine, you think that it is meant for you, it was aimed at you, and then you imagine so many other things, and you react to your own imagination, not to the remark. The remark is simple and innocent, but you add to it by your own imagination, by your very nature of misinterpretation. We hurt ourselves. And then what is more, we think that we are right. What we think is the only right thing, the only right interpretation. We refuse to listen to others. And of course, without thinking, we talk something which would hurt people. We are not careful. We spend words very generously, voluminously. We don't think while talking. A sadhak has to be very careful, because as I said, you speak one word of praise, be sure that the word would return to you sometime, someday. And one word of criticism, you can be sure it's going to return to you sometime when it will hurt you most. Everything, whatever you give to the world will definitely come back to you, sometime with vengeance. If you have only love to give to people, then love will come back to you from people. And if you have only irritation, a harsh word, for everyone, be sure there will come a time when you have to receive only harshness from people. It is what you have asked for by your own deeds. So when Bhagavan said that, I knew that he did not mean the simple act of plucking a flower. It's meant for life, and everybody's life. If you will begin to practice that, you will see how much you hurt yourself and how much you hurt others, and pointlessly at that. There's no need for it, but then we just go ahead. We talk and talk and talk, aimlessly, carelessly, not knowing the damage we are doing to people. So that was one thing that I learned from Bhagavan. It's not that you just learn something straight away, you have to practice. When you practice, you make the idea yours. An idea is given to you from the guru to the disciple. It takes a long time to own it up. Not by just giving, it becomes yours. You have to assimilate the idea. You have to live the idea and make it your own. So there was a time when Yogiji began his life, his spiritual life. He was working as a teacher in a school. He took long leave from the school because one sadhu who lived on the banks of the Ganges told him that his guru was in the south and he had to go in search of him. So Yogiji took long leave from the school and he boarded a train. He was still a teacher, the feeling that he was a teacher. So he had bought a ticket and he had some money in his pocket. He boarded the train, and there was a crowd. So he boarded the train with the crowd. And after he sat in the compartment, after some time, after some travel, the ticket collector came and asked for the ticket. He put his hand into his pocket, and his hand came out clean, and there was nothing else. It was cut open. Somebody had pickpocketed everything. Only his hand came out. And then, of course, the people who saw his flight, they collected some money and bought the ticket for him so that he could come up to Pondicherry. Now, if we were in his place, that was just the beginning of his spiritual life. He was making his first journey towards the south. And such a, what do they call it, ominous thing happened. He was pickpocketed, he lost everything. Had we been in his place, we would have thought it a bad omen. My God, I'm starting my spiritual journey and this is what has happened. Because you expect God, you think that you have made a wonderful decision of your life because you want to live for God, and you expect God to support you at every level. So when this thing happened, what he thought was different. What we would have thought, okay, it's a very bad woman, probably I should not start it now. Maybe I should postpone it, or maybe I should not think about it at all. That it's an indication of what my life to be. I'll be left stranded in the streets. But Yogi Ji decided he was starting a journey towards God, and he had bought a ticket, he had money in the pocket, and he had the dignity of a teacher. He decided it was because he was dependent on money and the dignity of his job. He decided he would not take money while traveling. He would not touch money. That was his decision. It pushed him further towards God. It pushed him further towards a higher, a more severe austerity. He stopped depending on money. What a grand decision. Who could make it? 99 out of 100 people would have decided against the journey, taking it for an ill omen. And for a refined mind, he was going to be a great Mahatma, and the mind said it pushed him to a higher step in the journey. He decided, he stopped depending on money. That is the way we have to look at it. Because even after you start your journey towards God, you cannot expect help from God the way you want it. Help would definitely come from God, but it will not be in the form you expect. Because whenever it is in the form you expect, the mind would start expecting more and more from God. The mind becomes weak. When you have a desire, the denial of a desire will strengthen your mind. The indulgence will only weaken your mind further. And that is why the austerities. The denial of a desire will strengthen your mind more than the gratification of the desire. You try some small things, even as a householder. You want this, you want that, while cooking, while eating, you want this particular item, you don't want. Try, you deny. You know Paramacharya? Somebody had brought some curry leaves, some preparation of sag, some preparation of these green leaves. And he just took a little. And then after eating it, he thought he had indulged. And so for 3 days, he wouldn't eat anything. He starved himself. Because he immediately acknowledged that he had a desire for it, and he took it. And then he knew that the mind is such a trickster, and it would, present everything in a very acceptable way, and he would fall into the pit of Maya. So immediately he denied himself. So the way the Mahatmas look at things, look at life, is very different from what we do, but we have to learn from them. Austerity is necessary. Meaning if you have 10 needs, you can reduce it to 4. You would see how your six other desires are unnecessary. You can do without. And this way, you become more and more one-pointed. Your focus on God will get strengthened. The more you indulge in your desires, the more scattered you become. And so, our attitude to life is very important wherever we are placed. Like I used to say, your very breath is not your own. You have not put it there. You have not put life in the body. Even though the parents give birth to a child, they have not put life in the child. The divine inside you has put the breath in you. The divine is sustaining it. So the whole system belongs to the divine. This is only a machine. How do you know? When the breath stops, you still have the eyes, you still have the ears, you have all the parts of the body, but you are laid down and you are fit only for burning. Either they bury you or burn you. The same eyes are there, but you cannot see. The ears are there, you cannot hear. No part of the body will act. Why? The life has left. So, who does it belong to? The one who put the life there. And he is right inside you now. He has put every breath that you take, inhalation, exhalation, being operated by the divine within. He is right inside. You just have to close your eye and turn inward. You will see him sitting there pulling the strings of inhalation, exhalation, inhalation, exhalation. So you have to know that you are only a machine. Like I said, you are only a puppet. The puppeteer is inside, pulling the strings of your breath. So the first thing is to know that you are nothing but an instrument in the hands of God. But you cannot help feeling that you exist, the ego. The ego self does exist. You cannot ignore it. It's not possible because that has also been put there by God with all his power. So the ego has so much power because it's been put there by God himself. So you have to practice austerities. The ego will, as I said, somebody asked Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, what is the distance between you and God? He said, you list out all the desires. You want this, you want that. After you become 70 years, you want to see your grandson married. And you wait again until the grandson gives birth to another son. Or you refuse to leave you just go on multiplying desire after desire after desire. And so Ramakrishna said, you list out the desires, the number of desires. And that is the length between you and every desire other than God takes you away from God. Without grace, you cannot do anything. Something you know all the time you would be doing, and then you think you can do it, and something goes wrong and you wouldn't be able to do it. Something which you are so familiar with, you are so good at. Suddenly something will happen and God will make you see that he is the one behind it. Grace is the most important element of life. Without grace, we cannot even talk, we cannot see, we cannot hear. Everything is grace. The air that is provided, as he said, you know how much you have to pay for an oxygen cylinder? The doctor is here. But so much of oxygen is available to you, and so freely. God does not charge you anything. He doesn't send you a bill every month. This is so much for the air that you are breathing in. And what do? You only breathe out carbon dioxide. You should be charged extra for that, because you are spoiling the atmosphere. But God doesn't say that. He provides you. He has provided you with water, air, light, everything that you need. But we don't even think about it. We just take it for granted. Everything is a wonder in this world. Just see a plant growing. How can a plant come out of soil? You know what soil is? It looks inert. And out of that stone and the dust of the stone, a plant suddenly comes out full of life. And it grows and grows into a tree. It bears fruit, and the fruit is meant for you. A flower, how beautiful it is. Isn't that a miracle? Everything about life is a miracle. Everything around you is speaking loudly and clearly the glory of God. Everything should remind you of only God. Instead of developing a desire for it, you remember it's from God and it's grace. It's meant for you because of His grace. So you leave your desire and hold on to God. Everything around you is a wonder. Everything inside you is also a wonder. How many chemical reactions? It's a chemical factory, your body. You just have to ask the doctors. And knowing, after they study so much, after they research so much, they would still say, we do not know, we can only go this far. And the rest is in the hands of God. There is still so much to learn. So God has provided the whole cosmos only for your comfort. It doesn't mean that you have to indulge in your comfort alone. Because the whole cosmos, everything around you is speaking of His glory, His wonder. Everything is a miracle. We talk about miracles. Yogi Ramsuratkumar used to make fun. He would say, these days, people believe that someone is God or someone is a God man only if he does some miracles. Otherwise, they don't believe that he has strength of God. They forget that everything is a miracle. The way you breathe is a great miracle. How can you just turn inside and see the way you breathe? Isn't that a miracle? The whole body depends upon this air that you breathe in. The hands, what a miracle. You have 5 fingers. Why would He put 5 fingers? And how much work you can do with it. Have you ever thought about it? I told you the story the other day. There was a 70-year-old man who was very healthy. And suddenly something goes wrong with his kidney. And he had to get admitted in the hospital. He was unable to pass urine. Passing urine is such a common thing. How many times we do every day. We don't even think about it. But suddenly, when something went wrong with the kidney, he struggled hard. And he had to get admitted in the hospital, and they had to do some operation. And then he was becoming all right. And then the doctor gave a huge bill. He started to cry. He cried, and people thought it was a big fat bill, and that's why he was crying. But he said, no. See, one time my kidney went wrong, and the doctor has sent such a big bill, but I have been enjoying the health of this kidney all my 70 years up till now, and God never sent me a bill. how much I have taken God for granted. So if you are able to walk freely, if you are able to sit down and get up, what a grace it is. What a blessing it is. Everything about our life is a blessing. Everything is grace. About ourselves, about people around, about all the surroundings, the nature, everything is grace. So, the more you begin to see grace around in everything, the closer you are to God. The more you become grateful to God for everything, the closer you get to Him. You don't exist at all. He gives you a sense of existence and He's provided everything around. But all you think about is anything other than God. New advertisements in the TV, and then you go after new things. Because the mind wants newness, varieties all the time. And chanting the name of God for 1 hour in the same way, how boring it is. How many of you felt restless? You wanted to get up and go away. Some of you sit through it because of me. I know that. Because it's boring. You repeat the same way and the same name. At least the name could be different. At least the tune could be different. At least we could be walking and singing. But we don't do anything of it. We just sit in one place and drone. Drone and drone and drone. So we feel restless. Because we want varieties. We want newness in life. So desire after desire after desire. And all the advertisements, the media, they call it, provides, caters to your preferences. If there is one cell phone in the market, then another 9 will line up. 2 days after, you will see so many offers, so many varieties. But it's Maya. The Maya will do that. Maya is doing its job perfectly. But it's not for us to fall into the pit of Maya. We must remember that our very living is because of grace. Everything about life is grace. And without grace, you cannot move your little finger. You will know it only when something goes wrong with the little finger. When something goes wrong with the body, you will know. And then you say, oh, God's grace, doctor said it right, now I am able to move. It's only in the hospital we learn the grace, how it works. But it's there, right inside you, outside you, everything is grace. Every suffering that we go through in life is grace. Yogi Ramsuratkumar said that whatever happens, happens only by God's will, and whatever happens is grace, and whatever happens is perfect. Why? God is perfect. And it is He who is running our lives. Everybody's life, with all its details, both minute and mammoth details, all details are being run by Him. There is perfect account for everyone. You cannot do a single thing, a thought cannot escape His attention. Why? He is the very consciousness of you. The consciousness that you have is His consciousness. So every thought appears only in consciousness. Your brain recognizes the thought. So no thought can escape His attention. He is consciousness. And therefore there's perfect account for everyone. Be it good or bad, an account is maintained, and the nature will see to it that your account is settled even. As I said, one word of praise, you will have to get it back. One word of criticism, you have to get it back. And what is more, when you give torture to somebody, you have to get into the same frame of mind as the other person and get the torture back. So that you go through the same experience. But God is so kind, He will put some grace also in the experience, and it is up to you to see the grace and leave the rest. But more often than not, what we see is only the suffering, not the grace. So we suffer more. Until you learn your lesson that the God is your goal, that you have to connect with God in everything that you do. Be you a householder or a sannyasi, everything about life is connected with God. The sooner you recognize, the better for you, the closer you get to Him. So God will make it a point to give you suffering after suffering after suffering until you learn your lesson. What? Everything is given by Him, and everything is His prasad, and everything is grace, pure grace. So what happens? You begin to feel grateful to Him. You may still have the ego self, so you can say that I am seeing, I am talking, I am doing everything okay, but I am seeing grace. I am seeing grace of God. I am experiencing grace of God. Instead of saying I am going through suffering, you will take that suffering as grace of God and go through it. Then there will be peace. The suffering will be there, the pain will be there. But to know that this is given to you by God for your own spiritual growth, you will feel that much better. And what is more, there will be a strange peace in the heart when you know that it is His prasad and it contains His grace. And it's meant for your spiritual growth. That's again, Yoga Vasishtam repeatedly says from page to page to page, whatever happens is auspicious. Whatever happens is a gain. When somebody very dear to us dies, if somebody comes and says, oh, it's very auspicious that he died, what will you? He'll give him a slap and pack him off the first thing. But that's what God says, minute to minute to minute. This is what God's purpose is. Why? Because you're so attached to people, you suffer. When there is love, love doesn't suffer. Attachment does. Attachment comes from the ego. Love gives. Attachment expects. You do one good turn to somebody, there will be 100 strings attached to it. You will expect this. The minimum you expect is recognition. Oh, I helped them only yesterday, and today he's just passing by without giving me even a single glance. Expectation. So Yogi Ramsuratkumar used to say, when you are in spiritual life, when you are in the path, when you are a sadhak, everybody is a sadhak, help each other, help others without any expectations. So how can you do it? Only when you think that you are helping the God within them. It is a service to God. Your service to people without any expectations becomes your puja to God. Every time you help somebody, even a cup of water you give to someone, you run and get it for them. And somebody is ill, you go attend to them. God notes it down. Oh, he's doing tapas. This is tapas. Every time you help somebody without any expectation, you are doing tapas. Without knowing you are doing tapas. And you'll be sitting and struggling in meditation, and you would think that you have done tapas. But when you help people without any expectations, you really grow spiritually. That's true tapas. So there is no attachment. We have to drop attachments because it is the attachment that brings suffering to us. Attachment to your body, so you want help for yourself. Attachment to your son or a daughter, you want the best to happen to them. Something goes wrong, immediately you get worried, sick, you fall into depression, you take all measures. And sometimes, you lose your faith in God also. Oh, I did so much, I've been going to the ashram every day, but all that happened was this. Why would God do such a thing to me? God is doing the right thing to us. We refuse to recognize, so He will go on giving it to you until you begin to recognize. Because the whole life is to teach you the lesson, the most important lesson of life, that your goal of life is God. So connect every detail of your life with God somehow or the other. Simple acts of eating and sleeping, keeping the house clean or cooking, any work, offer it to Him. God, this is my seva to you. Kindly accept it. You live in your own house, you cook for your husband, children. Say that I am cooking for you, God, because you are in all these people. You know, the Upanishad says the wife loves the husband not because he is a husband, because of the self in him. The husband loves the wife not because she is wife, because of the self in wife. So, whatever you do to anyone, you are really doing it to the God within. So you have to do it as seva. So connect even the simple, most acts as seva to God. At least tell Him, God, even when I don't think while I do it, now I am telling you, please accept whatever I do as my seva to you. You go to an office, and then you sit there and you have paper after paper after paper and computer work, register after register, and then you get tired by the end of the evening. My God, what am I doing? I'm only slogging, and you're earning so little for that. You get tired, you get frustrated, and at one point you begin to seek drinks. But know that the whole cosmos belongs to God, which includes your office. So whatever you do in this world is only His seva, His work. Even simple act of eating is His work. He has put you in the cosmos, the whole cosmos is His, even you belong to Him. So your eating for your body is doing your role play. That is also for His sake. So everything is being done only for the sake of God. So you have to add this God thought even to the simplest things that you do in life. So when you go to the office, know that God, this office also yours. You are the real boss. I am answerable to you more than to the immediate boss. And the work, the paperwork that I do, I slog in the office, is my seva to you. Kindly accept whatever work I do. I may take money for it. The money is His. God is giving you the money. So connect the money also with Him. And whatever I do in the office, even the most drudgery, is your work. So it is my seva to you. The office belongs to you. The work that I do is your work. Kindly accept it as my seva. So at the end of the evening, you come out, Swami, I have done. I have done whatever work I have done sitting in this chair, I offer to you because it's really your work. And what is more, you are doing it through me. I don't exist because I have not put the life in this. My very breathing is because of you. You are controlling my breathing. You are sustaining my breath. So even this belongs to you. So you are doing your work. Just think that, and when you come on, this is exactly what Yogi Ramsuratkumar did. When people came and asked, Swami, life is such a drudgery. Every day morning we have to go, and there is no. What's the time? 8:05. Please, So you see. So remember, wherever you work, whatever you do, you are doing only His seva, and you have to recognize it. Simple recognition that everything is connected with God, and every thought of yours is also connected with God. You just have to recognize, so that I live my life for the sake of God. I help people for the sake of God. I live, I breathe, I eat, I sleep. Whatever I do, wherever I am, I may be a householder or a sannyasi, whatever is connected with my life, that I have to dedicate to God. Because it's already dedicated. He is doing your role through your body. You merely have to recognize it. So this recognition that you are only an instrument in His hands, that everything is being done through you by Him and for Himself, to Himself. So I always said, it is from God, to God, by God, for God. This is one simple truth about life. Everything is being done by God and for His own sake, for His own reasons. In the meantime, we think we exist and we go through endless suffering in life and we don't learn. So we have to recognize the basic facts of life, that your very breath is His. And everything that's provided around is by His grace. You're able to sit so long, it's His grace. I know how difficult it is for you people to sit and listen. But something is controlling you. Even the thought that I may think something is going to make you sit, it doesn't matter. But something is controlling. Everything is He, everything is His. So knowing it, let us proceed with our life, offer the whole life as a dedication to Him, as an offering to Him. You can tell Him, Swami, every breath I take is also yours. It's an ajna, there's a fire and the breath is going up and down, up and down. When you add a mantra to the breath, you are offering into the sacrificial fire inside. An ajna is going on. Jai Yogi Ramsuratkumar. Your knee pain is His and it's also He. Knowing it, you feel happy that He is there.